For about 10 years now, on and off, I've lived in London, where life takes place under an endlessly grey sky, or at least that's what it feels like. But when I think of my hometown Sydney, I think of the colour blue. That's the sky and the ocean there for most of the year. In London, there's the daily crush. The tube we're getting growled at or sneezed on is all generously included in the ticket price. While in Sydney, I could commute by ferry across one of the most beautiful harbours in the world. And in London, there are people, so many people, everywhere. In Sydney, everyone gets their own beach. Not quite, but you get the idea. Now, kicking London brings no pleasure. I love this place. Truly, it's my adopted home. But I was surprised recently, so were many of my colleagues, mostly Brits, when we learned that this challenging, often infuriating city had topped a list of the world's best cities. And when you think about the competition, we wanted to know, how is that possible? Accounting giant PricewaterhouseCoopers released two studies. One, a survey of around 5,000 people measuring the perceptions of international cities. The other, an analysis of the facts. Sydney came 5th for perception, 10th for reality. London is number 1 in both rankings. London scored very highly for international connections, well-developed infrastructure and legal frameworks, political influence and being a leader. That could be because most of those surveyed are described as informed elites and business decision makers, a demographic also known as those who regularly wear suits. Best city in the world, go.
London.
Why London?
Cosmopolitan, business, ease of access, rule of law.
Yeah, it's a great city.
You've noticed the colour of the sky though, right?
Yeah, if it could also have the weather of Australia, it would be even better.
Wouldn't it just? For affordability, London ranked close to the bottom of the list. That's not news to those who live across town far from the suits. But most still agree, this is the best city in the world.
There's no place on earth that can compare with London. It might be a little bit expensive, but hey, don't worry about that, forget that.
It's hard to forget that though, because it is really expensive.
It is really expensive. They say it's one of the most expensive places in the world, but listen, everywhere is expensive at the moment.
Andrew Cook works for the agency which is paid to promote London's good image abroad. There is a real risk that London's perception internationally could take a hit because of Brexit, right?
Well, I think where there's uncertainty, and clearly Brexit is causing some uncertainty at the moment, then there is a risk to business.
Ultimately, London finished first by performing strongly in most categories, despite its famous weaknesses. Londoners have learned how to endure those. What about the weather?
Forget the weather.
So forget the weather, forget how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Forget the traffic.
Forget the traffic. Yeah, forget all that. Don't look at the negative side.
Phil Black, CNN, reporting from arguably the best city in the world.